Hi everyone, and welcome to the video lecture, Collecting Ballistic Evidence. Let's get started. Now we've already talked a little bit about packaging ballistic evidence safely, but I want to go in a little bit more depth in this video lecture about the proper collection, documentation, and storage strategies for ballistic evidence. First, and most importantly, when we are collecting ballistic evidence, we want to make sure we prepare the firearm for transport. To prepare, investigators must first unload all ammunition and magazines from the weapon to make it safe for handling. Investigators should document what position they found the firearm in, such as whether a safety was on or not, as well as whether there was a round loaded into the chamber at the time. On a revolver, it's important to identify the original chamber position, so investigators should mark the chamber that's currently aligned with the barrel with a Sharpie or some other kind of marking. Even if the weapon is supposed to be unloaded already, always double check for safety purposes. You want to treat all weapons like they're loaded unless you or one of your fellow crime scene investigators have prepared the weapon and can verify it's unloaded and safe for transport. Now, during this process, investigators should also record the serial number of the firearm to make sure that it doesn't get mixed up with another weapon during transport and storage. After those steps have been completed, you're ready to package the firearm. It's important that the firearm is not jostled or damaged by any other hard objects during transport, so you should make sure to package all components of the firearm separately. You should also secure the firearm into the container so it doesn't jostle during transport. This photograph shows an unloaded firearm that's attached to the bottom of a box with zip ties. This weapon is prepared for safe transport, as the zip ties will stop it from bouncing around in the packaging and potentially damaging the weapon or the trace evidence on the firearm itself. Now, a few cautions when packaging firearms. First, never package a loaded firearm. This can result in accidental firing during transport, and that can endanger the forensic technicians and other law enforcement officers. The second caution attempts to reduce the amount of latent print destruction on the firearm. When you're packaging a firearm, it's best practice to handle the firearm using only surfaces that are not conducive to fingerprints. Oftentimes, the grip of the weapon is textured, so it can be handled without concerns about the loss of latent prints. Smooth areas like the trigger and the barrel, these are prime surfaces for latent fingerprints, so reducing the amount of handling there can reduce the potential for evidence loss. And finally, unlike what you see on TV, never put something into the barrel of a gun. I don't even know why it's become a common thing in TV, but a lot of times investigators on television will take a pencil and then they'll put it into the barrel of the gun to pick it up. Now, obviously, protection of the barrel is of prime importance in ballistic analysis because that's where the striations are that we're going to be testing and comparing later on. So you have to make sure to preserve that evidence as best as possible. So just don't stick anything into the barrel of a gun. So how do you collect ammunition from a crime scene? Just like the weapons themselves, it's important to protect the ammunition during transport. Boxes, padded envelopes, or rigid tubes are best for casings and bullets. Make sure that all ammunition is packaged separately so that the bullets don't hit and scratch one another. Some departments may require you to mark the bullets that are recovered from a crime scene, like etching them, but otherwise, unless your department specifically says so, it's recommended to avoid marking the bullet in any way. Now, fired bullets can be recovered from surfaces like walls, furniture, etc. It's important to avoid scratching or otherwise damaging the side of the bullet when you're removing it. This is why specialized recovery tools like rubber-coated forceps or bullet extractors may be necessary because regular forceps and other tools can damage the bullet and negate future comparisons. Some agencies prefer crime scene investigators to avoid removing the bullets directly themselves and to actually take a full piece of the surface back to the lab. This means that a bullet in drywall may require you to actually cut out a small square of the drywall and bring it back to the lab. Back in the lab, analysts can use more caution to recover the bullet from the surface, and they have a lot more options about how to get that bullet recovered from the surface. All right, short and sweet, right? Thanks for watching, everyone.